So I've been scrolling through news headlines and I keep seeing this thing, Interstellar Comet Atlas, passing Mars. Honestly, why is everyone making such a fuss? Don't comets swing by planets all the time?
Normally, yes, we've seen plenty of comets, but this one is unlike almost anything we've ever witnessed. Its official name is 3I Atlas, and the 3I tells you everything you need to know. It means this is the third interstellar object ever confirmed by humanity.
Third ever? Wait, how rare are we talking here?
Extremely rare. In fact, the first one we ever saw was only in 2017, the famous Oumuamua. Then in 2019 came 2I Borisov, and now in 2025 we have Atlas. 3 in history, and you're alive at the exact moment the third one is literally flying past Mars.
Okay, that's insane. So this isn't one of our comets at all?
Right. This is not from the Oort cloud, not from the Kuiper belt. It was born around another star system light years away and has been drifting through interstellar space for millions, maybe even billions of years. And now, purely by chance, it's cutting across our solar system.
That wild. But again, why Mars? Why is everyone pointing their cameras there?
Because for the first time ever, an interstellar object is passing close enough to be observed by spacecraft already orbiting another planet. Atlas is making its closest planetary approach not to Earth, but to Mars, and that means satellites like NASA Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter and ESA Mars Express can actually point their instruments outward and try to capture direct data.
Hold on, so you're telling me probes that were built to study Mars are now turning into alien comet observers?
Exactly. In a brilliant case of improvisation. These orbiters weren't designed for interstellar science. They don't have all the perfect instruments, but they do have cameras, spectrometers, and detectors that can be repurposed. From Earth, Atlas is just a faint greenish blur. But from Mars orbit, only 29 million kilometers away, we could get the first ever spacecraft observations of an interstellar visitor.
First ever. Wow. So what could they actually see?
Even if the images are low resolution, they could tell us a lot. For instance, how the coma, that glowing envelope of gas, is shaped. Whether the jets of gas are erupting in one direction or many. Whether the dust streams look like a classic comet or if it's behaving differently. And in a best-case scenario, we might even catch a glimpse of the nucleus, the solid heart of the comet.
And that basically like looking at a piece of another star system directly, right?
Exactly. Imagine a chunk of ice and rock that formed around another sun, carrying with it the chemistry of that alien world frozen in time. It's like a sample delivery system from across the galaxy, passing right in front of our cameras.
Okay, that is starting to sound less like astronomy nerd stuff and more like history in the making.
It absolutely is. Remember, Oumuamua and Borisov were only studied from Earth. Oumuamua zipped past before anyone could even react. Borisov was easier, it looked like a traditional comet, but still, we only had telescopes. With Atlas, we're potentially getting the first in situ data, the first close-range science, even if it's indirect through Mars probes.
But tell me about that glow. The pictures I've seen show this eerie green haze. What's going on there?
Great question. Green comets aren't unheard of. Usually the color comes from diatomic carbon, 2 carbon atoms bound together, fluorescing under sunlight. But with Atlas, the effect is far more dramatic. It's not just carbon, it's an unusual mix of gases. Spectroscopic analysis has revealed very high levels of carbon dioxide, much higher than we see in most solar system comets. There are also a lot of carbon monoxide, plus cyanides, and even traces of nickel dust.
Nickel in a comet atmosphere? That sounds metal, literally.
Exactly! And it's unexpected. Nickel is usually locked away in rocks, not freely floating in the coma. This suggests Atlas either has a very different structure or it being heated in ways that release elements we don't usually see.
So the green isn't just pretty glow, it literally alien chemistry?
That right. This is chemistry shaped by a completely different star system. That's why scientists are so excited. It's like opening a time capsule from another world and realizing the recipe inside isn't quite like ours.
Okay, but let's circle back. Why does the Mars flyby matter so much more than just watching from Earth?
Because of proximity. From Earth, Atlas is hundreds of millions of kilometers away, from Mars' orbit it close enough that even imperfect instruments could provide unique data. It's the difference between watching a concert on TV and being in the front row. And there's another reason: timing. Atlas is brightest and most active as it approaches the sun. At Mars, it's already heating up, already glowing, already outgassing. That's the perfect time to study how it behaves.
So Mars just happens to be in the right place at the right time?
Pure cosmic luck. If Atlas had passed by a few months earlier or later, there would have been no spacecraft in position. But right now, Mars is essentially acting as our forward science base, a platform for observing an alien object up close.
You know what I keep wondering? Does anyone take seriously the idea that this could be artificial, like a probe, a piece of alien tech?
The idea is controversial. Most scientists would say no, it's a comet with unusual chemistry. But there are voices like Harvard Avi Loeb who argue we should at least keep an open mind. Oumuamua sparked that debate in 2017 with its strange acceleration and lack of a visible tail. Now, with Atlas showing a green glow, unpredictable brightening, and unusual composition, the same questions are resurfacing.
So even if it's natural, it's still weird enough to make people whisper.
Exactly. And that whisper, what if, is powerful. It drives people to pay attention. It sparks curiosity, not just among scientists, but among the public. Whether Atlas is just an exotic comet or something more, it forces us to confront how little we really know about the galaxy.
So bottom line, why should someone watching this video care? Like beyond the space nerd fascination.
Because this is bigger than science. It's about perspective. Atlas is a fragment of another solar system, drifting for millions of years, and now it's close enough for us to see. For the first time, our robotic emissaries, the spacecraft around Mars, are reaching out across that void, turning their instruments toward an alien visitor. It's history. It's proof that we're not isolated, that the galaxy is constantly exchanging material. And maybe, just maybe, that life itself could spread this way, seeds carried on cosmic messengers like Atlas.
That heavy. So Mars isn't just about rovers and dusty landscapes anymore. Right now, it's a front row seat to a galactic event.
Exactly. And we're lucky enough to be alive at the moment it's happening.
All right, you've sold me. This isn't just a comet, it's a visitor from another world. But now I need to know, how did we even discover this thing? Who spotted it? And how do scientists know for sure it's interstellar?
Perfect question, because the story of Atlas didn't start at Mars. It started months ago with a faint dot in the sky, a set of orbital calculations, and a realization that shocked astronomers. That's where the real story begins.
So let's rewind. You said the story of Atlas didn't start at Mars. How did we even discover this thing?
It all began on July 1st, 2025 at the Atlas Survey Telescope in Chile. ATLAS stands for Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. Its job is to scan the skies for potentially dangerous near-Earth objects. That night, the telescope picked up a faint blur of light. At first, it looked like just another comet, nothing special.
So they almost missed it?
Exactly. But the magic of astronomy is in the math. Once they calculated its orbit, something strange popped out. The path wasn't elliptical like every planet and most comets. It wasn't even parabolic like a rare long-period comet falling in from the Oort cloud. No, the numbers showed a hyperbolic orbit. That means it's not bound to the sun at all. It came from outside the solar system, and it will never return.
That must have been a holy tart moment for astronomers.
Absolutely. Within days, the discovery was confirmed. This was only the third interstellar object ever seen by humans. Oumuamua in 2017, Borisov in 2019, and now Atlas.
Okay, but when Oumuamua was found, there was all that crazy talk, cigar-shaped alien ship, right? Did the same thing happen with Atlas?
In a way, yes. Oumuamua was strange because it showed non-gravitational acceleration. It sped up in a way we couldn't fully explain. With Atlas, the oddity wasn't shape, but chemistry and brightness. Almost immediately, astronomers noticed it wasn't behaving like our comets.
Let me guess. That glowing green thing again.
Exactly. Atlas was brighter than expected, and it carried this eerie green haze. Normally, Green comets glow because of diatomic carbon molecules. Sunlight excites them. They fluoresce green, and that's it. But Atlas? It wasn't just carbon. Spectroscopy, breaking light into its components, showed an unusually high concentration of carbon dioxide, CO2, way more than most comets in our solar system. There was also carbon monoxide, CO, which is rare but not unheard of, plus cyanides and even nickel particles in the dust.
Nickel? That sounds like something you'd find in a meteor, not in a comet glow.
That's why it's so interesting. Nickel usually stays locked in rock, not evaporating into space. Its presence suggests Atlas either has an unusual composition or the heating near the sun is releasing deeper layers we don't usually see.
So in plain English, it's chemically alien.
Exactly. It chemistry shaped by a different solar system. Imagine baking bread with the same recipe, but in a different oven, with different flour and water. You'll get bread, but it won't taste the same. Atlas is bread baked under alien conditions.
All right, what about size? This thing looks massive in pictures. How big is it really?
That's the tricky part. The coma, the glowing cloud of gas, makes it look enormous. But the solid nucleus inside is much smaller. Hubble Space Telescope measurements put the upper limit at about 3.5 miles across, or around 5.6 kilometers.
So like Manhattan size?
Exactly. Big enough to cover Manhattan end to end. But here's the catch that an upper limit. The actual core could be smaller, maybe even just a mile or two across. The coma is so bright, it hides the true size.
So we've got a Manhattan-sized alien snowball, glowing green, cruising past Mars. No wonder people are freaking out.
And don't forget its activity is unusually high. Even if the nucleus is small, it's spewing out an enormous amount of gas and dust. That makes it brighter than a typical comet of its size.
And you mentioned its brightness isn't stable?
Right, normally, as a comet approaches the sun, you expect a predictable brightening curve. With Atlas, the brightness fluctuates. Sometimes it flares, sometimes it dims. It's inconsistent.
Like it's doing something on its own?
That's what some people jump to. But scientifically, the most likely explanation is that the comet's surface is irregular. Jets erupt unpredictably, or parts of the crust crack at random, releasing bursts of gas. Another idea is that Atlas could be tumbling chaotically, so different faces point at the sun, triggering uneven outgassing.
So either it's just a messy ice ball or something stranger.
Exactly. The conservative explanation is messy comet, but its behavior is unusual enough that it keeps people wondering.
Okay, I have to ask, did anyone straight up say, what if this is alien tech?
Of course, Avi Loeb, the Harvard astronomer who stirred the pot with Oumuamua, is back again. He argues we shouldn't dismiss the possibility too quickly. With Atlas, the unusual chemistry, the irregular brightening, and the strong green glow all raise eyebrows.
And the mainstream?
Most astronomers roll their eyes and say, "It's a comet, period." They prefer natural explanations, and honestly, that's probably correct. But the fact that the debate exists shows how little we truly know about these objects.
So scientifically cautious, but open to the wild idea.
Exactly. Science thrives on skepticism, but it also thrives on bold questions. And Atlas is bold enough to make people ask them.
Back to the chemistry. You said CO2 levels are off the charts. Why does that matter?
Because it tells us about the star system Atlas came from. In our solar system, CO2n is present, but usually in small amounts compared to water ice. Atlas, on the other hand, seems dominated by CO2n. That suggests its home system had very different conditions, maybe colder, maybe different star radiation, maybe different planetary migration patterns.
So by studying it, we're basically peeking into another star system recipe book.
Precisely. It's like tasting soup from a neighbor kitchen. The ingredients are familiar: carbon, oxygen, water, but the proportions are different. And that difference is everything. It shows us that planetary systems are diverse, that ours is not the template for the entire galaxy.
Let me play devil advocate. To the average person, this is just a green blob. Why does it fascinate us so much?
Because it's rare, humans love rarity. We've seen comets before, but almost never interstellar ones. And Atlas has that visual hook, the green glow that makes it stand out. Add to that the fact it's literally alien, from another sun, and suddenly people feel like they're witnessing something out of science fiction.
So, at the perfect storm, rarity, beauty, and mystery.
Exactly, and that's why it's dominating headlines. It's science, but it also spectacle.
All right, so let me recap. ALIS was discovered by chance, confirmed to be interstellar because of its hyperbolic orbit. It about the size of Manhattan at most, and it glows green because of alien chemistry.
That right, and we haven't even touched on the most fascinating part yet, where it actually came from.
Oh man, you're telling me we might actually figure out its home star system?
We can try, and even if we don't pinpoint the exact star, we can explore the scenarios, the chaos that could launch something like Atlas across light years.
Okay, now you've got me hooked. Let's talk about its origin story. So here's the big question everyone probably asking right now. If 3I Atlas didn't come from our solar system, then where the hell did it come from?
That's the million-dollar question. And the truth is, we may never know for sure. But scientists have theories, and those theories are fascinating.
Okay, hit me. Start from the beginning.
To understand where Atlas came from, you first need to understand how star systems form. Picture a giant cloud of gas and dust collapsing under gravity. At the center, a star ignites. Around it, a disk of material flattens, and inside that disk, planets, moons, asteroids, and comets begin to form. But here's the thing, not everything stays neatly in place. Young planetary systems are chaotic. Massive planets migrate, tugging on everything around them. Gravitational slingshots fling objects across space. Whole belts of comets get destabilized.
So basically, cosmic pinball.
Exactly, and in that chaos, many objects get thrown out of their home systems entirely. They're ejected, traveling at escape velocity, and they wander into the galaxy as cosmic exiles. Atlas is one of them.
That crazy? So this thing could literally be a leftover from some planet that never formed?
Yes. One theory is that Atlas is a planetesimal, a building block of a planet that never made it. Imagine something that almost became a world but got kicked out before it had the chance. Another idea is that it's a fragment from a catastrophic collision. Two large bodies smashed together, and debris like Atlas was hurled into interstellar space.
So it could be a piece of an alien planet that never got to exist. That's insane to think about. But how long has it been traveling? Are we talking thousands of years? Millions?
Far longer. The estimates suggest it could have been drifting for millions, maybe even billions of years. Remember, the galaxy is old, about 13 billion years. Our solar system is 4.6 billion years old. Atlas might have been ejected around the time our own Earth was still a molten ball of lava.
So when Atlas started his journey, there were no humans, no dinosaurs, not even an Earth as we know it.
Exactly. For most of its existence, Atlas was just a frozen wanderer in the dark, traveling between stars. And then, by pure chance, its path crossed ours in 2025.
But can't scientists just trace its orbit backward and see which star it came from?
In theory, yes. In practice, it's much harder. Interstellar objects move fast, and once they enter the solar system, the sun gravity changes their path. Add to that the tiny non-gravitational forces, like jets of gas pushing it, and the uncertainty grows. Astronomers tried. They traced Atlas' incoming direction back to roughly the region of the constellation Hercules. But that doesn't mean it came from any specific star we see there. Over millions of years, stars move. The neighborhood changes. By the time you rewind the galaxy that far, it's almost impossible to say which exact star system it came from.
So basically a homeless wanderer.
That's one way to put it, but I like to think of it as a messenger, a fragment of a world we'll never see, carrying the chemistry of its home as a gift to us.
Okay, but what actually kicked it out? How do you yeet a comet across light years?
There are a few scenarios. The most likely is a gravitational interaction with a giant planet. In our own solar system, Jupiter has ejected countless comets over billions of years. If another star system had a Jupiter-like giant, it could have easily launched Atlas into interstellar exile. Another possibility, a close stellar encounter. In crowded star-forming regions, young stars often pass near each other. If another star brushed close to Atlas' home system, it could have destabilized comets and hurled some into space. And the dramatic option? A catastrophic planetary collision. Imagine two half-formed worlds smashing together, like what scientists believe happened to Earth when the moon was created. Debris from such an impact could easily be blasted out at escape speed. Atlas might be one of those shards.
That last one gives me chills. Like, what if we're looking at a piece of a dead world?
Exactly. That one of the haunting ideas that Atlas is not just a comet, but a gravestone fragment of a planet that never had a chance.
You keep calling it a messenger. Do you mean just data and chemistry or something more?
Something more. This is where we get into the idea of Panspermia, the theory that life, or at least the building blocks of life, can spread across the galaxy on objects like this. Atlas is loaded with carbon compounds, water ice, organics. If frozen microbes could survive the journey, and some scientists think it possible, then interstellar comets could act as couriers of life, seeding star systems across the galaxy.
So, in theory, Earth itself might owe its life to a comet like Atlas?
It's a possibility. Some researchers believe that the amino acids and organic molecules needed for life may have arrived on Earth from comets or asteroids. If that's true, then interstellar objects could spread those molecules even farther, meaning life might not just be common, it might be galactic.
That both inspiring and a little terrifying.
It should be, because it forces us to see life not as an isolated miracle, but as part of a much larger process, one that spans light years and billions of years.
But wait, if Atlas is the third one we found in just a few years, does that mean there are tons of these things out there?
Exactly. The fact that we've spotted 3 in less than a decade suggests they're actually incredibly common. We just weren't looking carefully enough before. Think about it. The galaxy may be filled with trillions of interstellar wanderers. Tiny, faint, drifting silently between stars, most will never be seen. But every now and then, one crosses our path.
So, like, space is littered with cosmic postcards from other worlds, but we only notice the rare few.
Perfect analogy. And every postcard tells a different story, a different chemistry, a different history, a different star system.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. Atlas isn't just some comet, it literally proof that we're connected to the rest of the galaxy.
Yes, that's the big takeaway. The Milky Way isn't a set of isolated solar systems, it's a dynamic web. Stars exchange material, worlds fling fragments into space. Over time, the galaxy mixes itself. Atlas is living proof of that exchange.
And the fact that it passed Mars, where we already have spacecraft, is just pure cosmic luck.
The kind of luck that comes once in a lifetime. And it's why scientists are pushing so hard to capture every bit of data we can. Because once Atlas is gone, it's gone forever.
So let me sum this up. Atlas could be a planetesimal, a shard of a broken world, or just a rogue comet. It's been traveling for millions of years, maybe since before Earth even existed, and it just happened to pass our neighborhood.
That right. And along the way, it forced us to ask bigger questions about life, the galaxy, and our place in it.
But here, what I'm dying to know, are scientists actually fighting about this? Like, is there a real debate about whether this thing is just a comet or something stranger?
Oh, absolutely. And the debates are fierce. On one side, you've got the conservative voices saying it's just a comet with quirks. On the other, you've got people daring to ask if it might be artificial. And in the middle, scientists admitting it weirder than expected.
Okay, that's where I want to go next. Let's talk about the fight, the controversies.
Perfect. Because Atlas isn't just teaching us science, it's also showing us how science argues with itself. And that's where the story gets really juicy.
All right, so now we're getting to the juicy part. You said scientists are actually debating what Atlas really is. What the fight about?
Oh, the debates are intense. On one side, you've got the conservative voices, most astronomers who say, look, it's just a comet. Yes, it's unusual, but unusual doesn't mean alien. On the other side, you've got more daring thinkers who say, hold on, this thing doesn't behave like normal comets, so maybe we need to think outside the box.
Let me guess, Avi Loeb is back?
Bingo, the Harvard astronomer who made headlines with Oumuamua. Remember, he argued it could have been a light sail or some form of alien technology. He once again in the spotlight. He says Atlas might also deserve that same level of scrutiny.
Okay, so walk me through just the comet side first.
Mainstream astronomers argue that everything about Atlas can be explained by natural processes. The green glow, that carbon molecules in CO2, the irregular brightness, that jets of gas bursting unpredictably from cracks in the surface, the unusual chemistry, that just diversity. After all, comets in our solar system already show wide variation.
So to them, Atlas is weird, but not revolutionary.
Exactly. They see it as a teaching moment proof that other star systems produce comets with slightly different recipes. To them, this is exciting enough in an alien chemistry lab, but still a natural one.
But then they're the other camp, the people saying, what if?
Right. Avi Loeb and a few others argue that we shouldn't dismiss the possibility of technology. With Oumuamua, the odd acceleration and lack of a visible tail made him suggest it could have been artificial. With Atlas, he points to the unusually strong green glow, the irregular outgassing, and its brightness fluctuation.
So let me ask bluntly, are they saying Atlas could be a spaceship?
Most don't go that far. Loeb himself usually frames it as maybe it a probe, maybe it debris from technology, or maybe it a natural body with unusual physics. He's careful not to say flying saucer, but the implication is enough to stir headlines.
And the scientific establishment doesn't like that, right?
Exactly. Many astronomers feel that suggesting aliens without stronger evidence undermines credibility. They argue we should exhaust natural explanations before even whispering technology.
So we Comet Veer says aliens. Is there any middle ground?
Yes, and it's interesting. Some scientists admit Atlas doesn't behave like a textbook comet, but they don't jump to artificial. They suggest it might be a fragment of a larger body, like a planetesimal. If that's true, then the strange chemistry could come from deeper layers of a planet-like body, not just surface ice.
So like at a piece of an alien planet crust or mantle?
Exactly. Imagine if Earth got smashed apart and a chunk of its interior was launched into space. If another star system had that happen, Atlas might be the shard that wandered all the way here.
Damn, that almost creepier than the alien tech idea.
It is, because it suggests we're looking at evidence of violent cosmic history, star systems tearing themselves apart.
But here's the thing that bugs me. If this debate is so big, why don't we just send a spacecraft to check?
That's the tragedy. We don't have anything ready. Interstellar visitors move fast and they're unpredictable. By the time we spot them, it's too late to launch a mission. With Atlas, all we can do is scramble with the telescopes and hope Mars orbiters catch something useful.
So we're basically arguing with incomplete data.
Exactly, and that's why the debates get heated. The cautious ones say, don't overhype it, just a comet. The bold ones say, but we don't know enough to rule out stranger possibilities. Both sides are technically right.
And what about the public? How do people react to this?
With fascination. The moment you say alien or interstellar, people listen. Media headlines call it the green alien comet. On social media, people speculate wildly. Is it a probe? Is it a sign? Even if scientists say no, the idea sticks.
So Atlas isn't just a comet, it's a cultural moment.
Exactly. It fueling curiosity about space at a time when people are paying attention to UFO hearings, to the search for life on Mars, to exoplanets. Atlas slides right into that cultural wave.
Okay, let me ask the hard question. What at stake here? Why do these debates matter?
Because every interstellar object is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Oumuamua was here and gone in weeks. Borisov gave us a little longer, but still only through telescopes. Atlas is giving us the closest thing we've had to a laboratory sample from another star. If we misinterpret it, we lose an opportunity to learn something profound. If we dismiss anomalies too quickly, we might miss the chance to recognize something extraordinary. But if we jump to aliens too fast, we risk crying wolf and damaging credibility.
So it's a balancing act.
Exactly, and that tension is what makes this debate so riveting. It's not just about Atlas. It's about how science itself deals with the unknown.
So some say it's just a comet. Others whisper it might be technology. And some think it a broken piece of an alien planet. That wild.
It is. And what even wilder is that we may never know the truth. Atlas is moving fast. By early 2026, it'll be gone forever back into the dark.
So this is our only shot?
our only shot, and that's why its legacy matters so much. What we learn now will shape how we prepare for the next visitor, because there will be a next one. And maybe next time,
All right, then. In the final part, I want to know what this all means for the future. Not just for science, but for humanity.
perfect. Because that where Atlas' true legacy lies, not just in what it is, but in what it inspires us to become.
So here we are. Atlas is flying past Mars, the debates are raging, and soon it'll be gone forever. What does all of this mean? Why should humanity care once it vanished back into the dark?
Because three-eyed Atlas is more than a comet. It's a turning point. It forces us to think bigger, not just about our solar system, but about our galaxy, about life, about the future of exploration.
Okay, let's break it down. Start with the science. What the legacy there?
Scientifically, Atlas has already rewritten the playbook. Its chemistry, rich in carbon dioxide with odd traces of nickel and cyanides, proves that not all planetary systems look like ours. It tells us that alien star systems can cook up very different recipes. That's huge, because it means our solar system is just one flavor among many. Every star may have its own unique signature. And now we've seen one of those signatures up close.
So, like getting a postcard from another kitchen in the cosmic restaurant.
Exactly. And that postcard is teaching us about diversity at a galactic scale.
But wait, this is only the third interstellar object we've seen, right? Oumuamua, Borisov, and now Atlas. That sounds rare, not common.
It sounds rare, but the opposite is true. The fact that we've spotted three in less than a decade suggests these objects are actually everywhere. We just weren't looking carefully before. The galaxy is probably filled with trillions of them. Silent wanderers, fragments of other worlds drifting between the stars.
So, well, not if another one comes, but when.
Exactly. And Atlas' legacy is that it reminded us we need to be ready.
What do you mean by ready?
Right now, we're not. Atlas came, we scrambled, we pointed telescopes in Mars orbiters, but that's it. By the time we detect these visitors, it's too late to launch a dedicated mission. But imagine if we had a spacecraft sitting on standby, a Comet interceptor. When the next interstellar visitor shows up, we could send it straight out to meet it, to photograph it up close, measure its surface, maybe even sample its dust.
So, the real lesson is don't let the next one slip by.
Exactly. At Hillis shows us the need for rapid response missions. Because these visitors aren't just comets, they're time capsules from other solar systems. Losing the chance to study them is like burning a library without reading the books.
That's the science. But what about the human side? Why does Atlas matter to ordinary people?
Because it captures imagination. Look, most scientific discoveries never make it to headlines, but Atlas did. People see green alien comet, they hear interstellar visitor, and suddenly they feel connected to something bigger. In a world full of chaos, politics, conflict, daily struggles, Atlas is a reminder that we're part of a much larger story. The universe isn't silent. It sends us visitors. It connects us to worlds we'll never see.
So, you're saying Atlas is as much about wonder as it is about data.
Exactly. It reminds us that science isn't just numbers, it's awe, it's curiosity, it's the feeling of looking up at the sky and realizing you're not just a citizen of Earth, you're part of the galaxy.
You know what keeps coming back to me? That idea you mentioned earlier, panspermia. Could Atlas actually carry the seeds of life?
It's a possibility. We know it loaded with organics, carbon compounds, water ice. If similar objects seeded Earth billions of years ago, then yes, Atlas could be part of the same process, but happening across the galaxy.
So life might not be a one-time miracle on Earth, but something the galaxy spreads around.
Exactly, and that may be the biggest philosophical legacy of Atlas. It forces us to ask, are we the result of Earth alone, or are we children of the galaxy shaped by gifts from alien stars?
And the public loves this stuff, right? I mean, UFOs, aliens, what if scenarios.
Yes, and Atlas feeds into that, but here the beautiful part, unlike conspiracy theories, Atlas is real. It's actually happening. You don't need blurry videos or secret documents. You can look up the data yourself in the open. So in a way, Atlas is grounding our fascination with the unknown in real science. It's showing us that the universe can be mysterious and awe-inspiring without needing fantasy.
And it makes astronomy feel less like some distant lab work and more like a global event.
Exactly. Everyone shares the same sky. And when a visitor from another star crosses it, it belongs to all of us.
Okay, so let's say we learn everything we can from Atlas. What next?
The future is about preparation. Space agencies are already thinking about faster telescopes, bigger surveys, and ready to launch spacecraft. Maybe next time, instead of just watching, we'll chase the visitor down. And farther in the future, maybe we won't just wait for them. Maybe we'll send our own probes into interstellar space. Imagine a probe launched from Earth, drifting for millions of years until it passes by another star system. To them, it would be their own three-eye atlas.
So one day, we might be the aliens sending postcards across the galaxy.
Exactly. And that's why Atlas matters. It's not just about what it is, it's about what it inspires us to become.
So, bottom line, what does Three Eye Atlas mean for us?
It means connection. It means humility. It means we're not isolated, but part of a galaxy alive with movement. It means life might not just be a local accident, but part of a cosmic process. Most of all, it means opportunity. An opportunity to learn, to prepare, to dream. Atlas is here for just a moment, but its legacy will last forever.
You know what? That actually gives me chills. We're so small, yet somehow we're in the middle of this galactic story.
Exactly. And that the true Mystery Atlas leaves us with. It's not just about where it came from, it's about where we are going.